Slave Identity in the United States. By Cameron K. Chris P. Keith H. David J. New ideas of liberty and equality in the nation. The North was gradually expanding and was growing away from using slaves and starting to let them become free. The Somerset decision was among a key court decision that pretty much ended slavery in England. Ben Franklin, who used to own slaves, was starting to part ways with the overall idea of it. However, as the cotton business grew, so did the slave business. In retrospect, abolitionist movements grew much more in the North and were serious about their intentions. Gave a new foundation for equal rights. It was illegal for slaves to learn to read and write, as slave owners thought it would promote a rebellious behavior among them. Slaves, though, would still receive an education in secret when they weren't being supervised by their owners or watchers. Slaves even were allowed to go to church and partake in church activities. Contributed to urbanization and industrialization. Urbanization in the antebellum period was very common, as escaping slaves would flee north to seek freedom. Many free blacks would work in factories where industrialization has taken off. Slaves in the South, though, would still have to work on plantations where they needed to pick the cotton and plow land to grow more of it. Gave a new identity in religion. Slaves were prohibited from practicing religion or being illiterate by their masters for the fear of rebellion and riots. This setback did not stop most from gathering together in groups and practicing religion, especially after the Second Great Awakening. Plantation chapels began to appear, and as some slaves eventually became free or ran away and the number of black ministers spread, black churches were beginning to be built. Gave rise to the plantation system. Slaves became an economic positive throughout this time, even though they remained a social negative. They helped the nation in this time period to expand and grow to enormous levels, mainly because of the plantation system. This gave rise to the economy by producing cash crops, which were maintained by the slave labor on the southern plantations. During this time period, slaves became a huge impact on the economically developing nation. Helped to aid discrimination in the country. Slaves since being brought to America have faced many acts of discrimination. During this time period, after years of slavery in the Americas, many people are becoming abolitionists and opposing the acts of slavery. This helps decrease the discrimination against them as a whole, as many people, especially in the North, accept the idea of African Americans and free slaves living among them as free people. Gave identity in economy, capitalism. One effect of slavery was that it gave identity in the economy, capitalism. In the United States, tobacco was the dominant slave-produced commodity. The invention of the cotton gin in 1793 gave slavery a new life in the United States. A vast majority of enslaved Africans employed in plantation agriculture were field hands. The American financial and shipping industries were also dependent on slave-produced cotton. So was the British textile industry. Helped combat racism. Racism greatly affected American identity by changing the way that people viewed American slaves in the areas of the Confederate States that were not under direct control of the U.S. government, when they were declared free by the Emancipation Proclamation. It should be noted this proclamation did not apply to areas loyal to, or controlled by, the Union. Thus the document only freed slaves where the Union still had not regained the legitimacy to claim freedom. Slavery was not actually abolished in the United States until the passage of the 13th Amendment.